So the coalition is continuing to discuss where it went wrong during the election campaign, but senior figures are remaining confident they will form majority government. The Prime Minister has accepted responsibility for aspects of the campaign pitch, but his front bench continues to push that Labor can't manage the country. Political reporter Matthew Doran joins us now from Parliament House in Canberra. Matthew, good morning. So the Treasurer says Labor needs to do some soul-searching post-election as well.
That's right. A lot of the attention has been on the coalition coming from quite a large majority in the House of Representatives to now facing the prospect of neither party gaining a majority or the coalition just scraping over that magic number of 75 and getting 76 seats needed for a majority. Both parties recorded a drop in their primary vote at the election, with a number of a significant proportion of votes going to minor parties and independents, to the Greens. So Scott Morrison very keen to press that point. Now, he was speaking on the ABC's AM program earlier today and was asked whether or not he takes any responsibility for the economic direction that was at the forefront of the coalition's campaign. He said, yes, he did take responsibility for the budget, a strong economic plan as he described it, but again used the opportunity to reinforce the attack on the Labor Party. Here's some of what he had to say.
Knew it couldn't fight on that ground and decided to go for a scare campaign. Now, that is the reason why Labor's primary vote at this election is the second lowest in their history. If Bill Shorten thinks that's an endorsement of the Labor Party, the second lowest primary vote in their history, on the back of a campaign that was only about Medicare, or Mediscare as it's been called, well, I think there are some issues there for the Leader of the Opposition, who runs around the country, I think, arrogantly proclaiming a victory that he hasn't achieved. I mean, the government is still on track to form a majority government.
Scott Morrison there, and we're on track, keeping track of the leaders as well. We'll just bring a bit of vision to you now. This is just shot in the last few minutes. It's just the Prime Minister leaving his residence in Point Piper in Sydney. Matthew, there's been this kind of strange situation the last couple of days where he's wandered outside the gates and looked a bit lost for a while and had a chat to journos, but he's done the more appropriate thing this morning and emerged from the car inside his house. Yeah,
we've seen C1 the last few days. The Prime Minister's car waiting out on the street at his Point Piper address today. Obviously, they're going for the more private approach of actually driving into his residence there, so he can try and get around those awkward questions from the media that are constantly camped outside his house at the moment, asking how confident he feels and how he sees the count progressing. So obviously, just trying to get on with work there. We heard Barnaby Joyce make the point earlier today on commercial television that the coalition really wants to show Australia that in the meantime, while there is still this uncertainty with the vote count, they are still getting on the job of running the country.
And it's not clear that the Prime Minister is doing anything public today?
No, not at this stage, but we always await to see those sort of details, and we don't get a whole lot of notice at times, but we will try and bring you that if it does pop up.
And who knows, we might get an election result. But
we could.
That's not guaranteed.
We are seeing those results trickle through, and if they start trickling through from the right seats, those seats that are still in doubt, we could see some outcome, but that is still up in the air as well, because there is no uniform way that the vote counting centres around the country have to report the details that they are currently recording. They can do it bit by bit. They can wait until the end of the day. They can stop and start depending on the circumstances at those vote counting booths.
Okay, so tell us a bit about one of these seats that the ABC election computer gave to the Liberals last night. This is the seat of Grey in South Australia.
Yeah, the largest seat in South Australia by far. It covers some 90% of South Australia's landmass, and in fact a bigger area than New South Wales. And the current member there, the Liberals' Rowan Ramsey, has held that seat on a margin of some 13%. He was under a fierce contest from the Nick Xenophon team's Andrea Broadfoot there, and after the votes were beginning to be counted over the weekend, it did look as though on the two-party preferred basis the Nick Xenophon team was ahead there. Those figures have now been updated, and Rowan Ramsey has pulled ahead again, and the ABC's election computer is now classifying that seat as a likely Liberal retain. But Rowan Ramsey was speaking on Radio National this morning. He said that he's not quite prepared to call or to claim victory at this stage, because his understanding is the way that the votes are being counted in that seat. They're going through the polling booths alphabetically quickly, and they're only up to E at the moment. And the bulk of the population in grey are in towns starting with P. So it's Port Pirie, Port Augusta, Port Lincoln, and then also Whyalla, even further down the alphabet. So he's still remaining cautious with that. Of course, happy to see that he is out in front. And he also took a chance to have a bit of a critique of the Nick Xenophon campaign there. Now, Andrea Broadfoot is a local councillor in that electorate, in one of the city electorates, city councils rather. She was handpicked by Senator Nick Xenophon there. But Rowan Ramsey says he didn't really feel like he was necessarily battling Andrea Broadfoot in this election. Rather, he was battling Nick Xenophon because that senator, the very popular senator in South Australia, carries such a significant brand with him that it's really the Nick Xenophon brand that is the key attraction for voters there. And he said that for a man who describes himself as the anti-politician in some respects, he really is the only politician, the ultimate politician, a very skillful player in the political field. So Rowan Ramsey staying cautious there, but at the moment we have him ahead by around 4% on a two-party preferred.
Okay, and what's your tip, Matt? What do you reckon you will know by the end of today?
I am not making any tips, any sort of predictions whatsoever. That is a very fraught game and well above my pay grade, Joe.
Okay, Matthew Dorn reporting there from Parliament House in Canberra.